All right, this is a special bonus encore extra. I'm wearing the same shirt. Sci-fi Express Lane. I'm probably going to post this tomorrow or whatever, just to give some space. But I was talking to one of my students about Kungfu movies. A young lady happens to be in martial arts at a very young age, and she was never into Kung Fu movies, And I said, are you kidding me? I think she's white or white Spanish, and she just wasn't aware of the movies. And I told her I'm an old teacher. I'm from the 80s. 70s, 80s. We used to watch the Shaw Brothers. We used to watch all those Kung Fu movies. I'm well versed in Kung Fu moviness, right? So I put together my top 10 Kung Fu movies coming from me, Jeff Carroll, sci-fi writer, filmmaker, comic book head, and I just want to go over those with you. I'd love to hear your top 10. This doesn't mean I don't like other Kung Fu movies. I love a lot, and I didn't realize how many I liked until I wrote this list. So this may be in order, but I don't think it's a hard order, right? So number one, I'm going to say, could be my best Kung Fu movie, but number one is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The Green Destiny Sword, the fight scenes, the modernization of something that I liked from the 70s. They brought it into the 2000s and actually did a better job. And that's what you're supposed to do in film anyway, is you're supposed to make better stories. If, things in the early age were early storytelling, so the story should be tighter. The graphics, the special effects, all that was early. That should be better. And Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon has that traditional "you killed my master" sacred books of the different movements that they had, because Kung Fu comes from tablets, and it was like a gun license. You couldn't just learn it. If you did learn it, you learned it without the culture around it, and that was dangerous. So people didn't teach you everything. People wasn't able to teach you, weren't even able to walk around like they was masters, because if you knew martial arts, you had to have a certain etiquette. Like like boxers have to have their hands licensed. So Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon has all that. Number two, most of the stuff is unrealistic, because if it was realistic, it'd be boring. So let's go with the unrealism. I love Kung Fu Hustle. I'm glad they're doing Kung Fu Hustle 2, but when they take so long to do sequels, I wonder if they have the same energy that they have from having the first one. So Kung Fu Hustle 2 is as a possible, but Kung Fu Hustle is definitely one of my top 10. It's not a real movie. I mean, it's very silly, has a lot of comedy in it, but it makes my list. Top 10. I watch it over and over. Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. This is the one. Bruce Lee was a hardcore. If he could have been in Shaolin, he would have been a monk, right? He's definitely a Mason. He's definitely somebody who's protective of the sacred arts. However, that's what got him killed, allegedly, is that he revealed the sacred arts to everybody. I don't know whether he was strategic about his love or openness to white people, or he was sucked up. But Chinese people are not always, Europeans are not always integrationists, right? They are conquerors, and I don't know how their relationship was with Chinese people, but they're not the most friendliest. I know African Americans, or Africans, right? We have an adversarial relationship with them, and Bruce Lee just trusted them, and I think that's what took him out. But in this movie, I told the young lady, I don't think they fully understood all of the art of martial arts. It's like they culturally appropriate things. So it's like yoga. Yoga is not just movements. Yoga is a culture. But in America, they call it yoga because it only took the movements. Martial arts is not just fighting techniques. It's a way of life. That's why even in China, the Shaolin monks were the best ones to do it, because it was a protected art. Before there were guns, there were people that knew how to fight. And this movie builds on that tradition in the sense that it's not taken in the Shaolin times. Definitely guns and stuff exist, cars and all that. But this follows, and I'm going to say it, I think it's Fist of Fury, where the street gang killed his sister. And because of the martial arts allows you to go into different experiences. Like the movie Sense8, or the TV series Sense8, Into the Dragon, Bruce Lee summons his sister's energy, the rage that she has to be able to fight at a higher level. And he avenges his sister. It's more than just a physical avengement. She actually comes in his body and helps him fight. All right? So that people don't pick up on all that. And I hope I'm picking the right movie. But, you know, it's one where he has to go to the island and fight in a combat situation, almost like MMA, right? Game of Death type action. But Game of Death is a different movie. All right. Then I have Master Killer. We talk about Shaolin. We can't talk about martial arts. We can't talk about Chinese culture without talking about the sacred guards of the sacred art, which is a martial art. And the Shaolin monks up in the mountains, like the Tibetan mountains, they protected Tibet. Monks protected some other understanding. The Shaolin monks protected the art of fighting as well as other things, healthy living and so forth. But they were monks, just like you have you have monks in the Catholic Church and you have nuns. These are monks of martial arts, the best fighters. And in Master Killer, it is a story of this young man becoming a Shaolin monk. And it supposedly gave way to the American TV show, we always say Grasshopper or whatever, but that was a wayward monk walking through the West. It was all right. You know, David Carradine, we all watched it, but it wasn't as good as the Kung Fu movies that we saw coming out of Shaw Brothers in China. Master Killer is also a beautiful story. I think they tried to do something like this in Jedi, in Star Wars, but Master Killer shows you all the training, everything that you got to go through to be a monk. All right. Next, Eagle's Claw. I'm going to say I think it's Jackie Chan. Like I said, I'm watching these years ago, but Eagle's Claw is probably one of the best ones. We used all of the animal styles. I'm an animal style lover. Although I don't think they're practical, I don't think they're the best forms of martial arts. I've never seen anybody do any of those styles in karate or martial arts competitions, but they make for good cinema, they make for good story. I love it. Eagle's Claw is one of the best on the different animal styles. Then Iron Monkey, another animal style, but it's not really hinged on all of the styles as much as Eagle's Claw is. Iron Monkey is a father avenging and protecting his son. Straight out. It's as good as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. As far as modern Kung Fu movies, it's there. So Iron Monkey, what a good story. Drunken Master. I talk about the culture where these martial artists had to hide their fighting styles. You know, they just can come into a town and be a martial artist. You kept it. Many times they, like in IP Man, they would take each other on, and there was a top dog in it. There was some competition. And I would love to hear somebody correct my history, because I'm just a historical enthusiast. I haven't really studied Asian culture past the movies that I've seen and little books. It's never been a formal study. I never had a teacher. So Drunken Master picks up on my little bootleg understanding of Kung Fu movies, where the artists, the people who knew these styles had to keep them in hiding. And this guy is a real master, but he ain't letting nobody know. And it makes for a good story. I also think it's Jackie Chan in it. Mystery of Chess Boxing. This is me watching this on 42nd Street. This is straight up, and I think this is the one that has Ghostface Killer in it. I love the fighting signs. This guy taught people how to fight good through chess and thinking move 3-4 moves down the line, because we can all fight, but what is this guy going to do after the third move that he's going to do? So how can I trap him in? It's real good. It's very fun. I think it's also the traditional story. You kill my master, I gotta avenge you for doing that. And like I said, I think it's the Ghostface Killer in that. And then at 9 and 10, same story twice. The more accurate story is Ip Man, IP Man. All right. That's just, they got Ip Man 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it kept going. But Ip Man tells a story of what is, I think, Bruce Lee's teacher. And how he was such a good master in his time that he couldn't be left alone. There's always people coming after him. And also a lot of these movies, I think Fist and Fury, a lot of Bruce Lee movies deal with the reality that the West was coming, and they were looking to see who could fight better. And they would have these competitions between the Western styles and Asian and Chinese styles. And even Japan was in there, and they had their big fighters. You know, Japan didn't have monks. They had shoguns, and then they had ninjas, which was an elite fighting team. And I don't know what the ninja culture is. I'm pretty sure it's not just a fighting team. I think it's as deep as Shaolin. So, you know, China and Japan are very competitive. And in the Ip Man story, he goes from fighting in his town to fighting for his country's honor. And he is a very principled man. And in the story, he has to end up fighting a Japanese person. And I think Ip Man goes that far, but it might be Ip Man 2. But anyway, this is the guy who taught Bruce Lee. Now, number 10 is the same story as number 9, but I think it's equally as good. Okay, just like people like Nosferatu and Dracula, it's the same story, right? So in number 10, I have Fearless. This is Jet Li, probably his best movie. I think it's Jet Li. Golly, I wish I had something to fact check. This is just me off memory, but Fearless is amazing. Fearless is a modern, high-budgeted version of Ip Man, the story of the guy who taught. And I'm not even gonna try to say his name. I'm not out of disrespect that I don't know it. It's just that I'm coming from teaching and I got a lot of other stuff on my mind. So I didn't prepare in that sense for this list. But this is a reactionary list from one of my students, and I wrote out the list. I said, man, this would be a perfect list to share. All right, and I'm gonna put the list. It's actually, I think it's my handwriting that I'm gonna put as the cover, but you'll see I'll scratch it out while I was talking to her. But Fearless tells the same story and is beautiful. Just elements in it. It's a beautiful story. Kind of, you're going to get respect for the evolution of the art that we're dealing with. So yeah, I'm not. I think Ip Man is a great story. It's on my top 10. Great movie. But Fearless is also just as good. And I know Fearless is a Hollywood type production movie, but I forgot which one. I'm going to say Ip Man is more accurate, but I don't think, Fearless is that inaccurate. I think they're just two variations of the same guy's story because he was that impactful. So that wraps up my, top 10 Kung Fu movies. Of course, you know, there's more. I left out 5 Deadly Venoms. I left out, you know, I even like Kung Fu Panda, right? Kung Fu Panda is a good story, but I didn't have that on my list. It's not traditional. It's just a good story and shares the same story elements. Kid with the Golden Arm. Sometimes I just thought they were too, what's the guy's name? Bruce Lee, right? There was Bootleg. There was another Sonny Chiba. He was, to me, a lot of people like Sonny Chiba's movies. I don't like Sonny Chiba movie. He was too sloppy, and it was modern stuff. But it is Kung Fu movies, and he's a Kung Fu artist. He could beat me, so I'm not dissing him. It's just I didn't care. I didn't put no Sonny Chiba on there. I know he was on 42nd Street. I saw his movies, but it wasn't as hardcore as like another one that I left off the list was Dirty Ho. Dirty Ho and chess boxing are like my Shaw brothers mean. They had the fighting styles in the beginning of the movie, and then they would start the movie. That's Dirty Ho, and it didn't make my list. You know, I put Fearless over it, so it is what it is. All right, thank you, Sci-Fi Express Lane. Share your top 10 Kung Fu movies. You know, I have good movies that I left on the list. I'm not gonna lie. I like a lot of Kung Fu movies. My little godson, he still watches them on TV all the time. My son has watched them because I've shown it to him. So it is what it is. Hip-hop culture. Wu-Tang Clan. Come on, yo. Ghost, Face, Killer. I'm there. All right. Like, subscribe, share, and comment.